I debated not doing this video a couple times. And the reason is, I don't want to say it's a protest of Jon Fitch getting cut, but protest of the bullshit going on right now, I guess. The fact that we cut people like Jon Fitch, like Aaron Simpson, and not fighters I'm particularly fans of or admittedly look forward to their fights, but the fact that you look at a lot of the people on this card, and I mean a lot of the people on this card, and you go, how the hell do they have jobs if we're cutting these people? But you know what? I'm going to dive in, get this through, and kind of maybe even explain my reasons on that. Yansan Burrell, Yuri Belfort, both of these guys qualify for the record. Every time they fought someone of higher quality in Strikeforce, they lost. Yansan Burrell, with his loss to, name is eluding me, but Yuri Belfort lost to Quinn Mulhern. Yansan Burrell, Chris Bang, Andreas Bang's little brother. Why are they here? Why? They're not good enough. I don't really care in the end, but I'm gonna go with Yansan Burrell. I think that in the end, he possesses more potential to be a UFC fighter, whereas I've never been impressed with Yuri Belfort. He beats guys who are not tremendously good and loses when he gets a test. Because I'm not a huge fan of Quinn Mulhern. I think maybe that's my problem. John Manley, Neil Magny. I get why these two guys are here. It is a simple. We always bring in a couple guys from the Ultimate Fighter, and I don't have a problem with that. It encourages participation. It allows you to bring in guys who don't win the show, but look good on the show. And both of these guys look pretty good. Neil Magny, I think, in the end, looked the better of the two. He looked like he had a pretty varied striking game. Not a lot of power, but pretty quick. Pretty able to hit you from different angles, mix it up, do a really good job with that. And also pretty good takedown defense. And when on his back, he managed to reverse things. He managed to get back to his feet. He managed to, he shows a lot of promise that, he could be something. He was actually my, promise guy of that show because he seemed to have the most well-rounded game. And to be the most unpolished at the same time. I mean, obviously people say Colton Smith, Mike Ricci, who made the finals, would be the big finds that season, except that Colton Smith stenches to me of a grinding wrestler, which people historically don't like, and we're cutting now. And Mike Ricci, I just feel, sorry, cat wanted out. To me, seems like he might have some problems if you watched his earlier fights. That can't really be corrected. Kenny Robertson, Brock Jardine. Here's two guys that, why the hell are they still employed? Because Kenny Robertson, 0-2 in the UFC, lost to Aaron Simpson. Aaron Simpson's been cut. Kenny Robertson hasn't. See a problem here? Brock Jardine, admittedly, is just 0-1. Lost to Rick Story on relatively short notice, but was dominated in it. Possibly Rick Story's most impressive performance to date. Not in terms of quality win, because obviously he's beaten Johnny Hendry, beaten Thiago Alves, which are bigger wins, but in terms of, my God, Rick Story, please finish this fight, sort of just utter domination. We haven't seen him do it to anyone else. I'm going with Robertson. He's a slightly bigger guy. Their skill sets are very similar. Very much wrestlers. Yeah. After watching Jardine get completely dominated by Rick Story, he'll be competitive in this fight because I just think Kenny Robertson's nowhere near Rick Story's level. But we'll see a win. And hopefully Jardine getting cut. Sam Stout, Carlos Fedor. Don't really have a problem with this one. Sam Stout's had a pretty good UFC record with a couple decent wins. Carlos Fedor is a stablemate of Demetrius Johnson. Trains with Matt Hume. Very well-rounded fighter. Has shown some problems in the past with some, big-time wrestlers. He lost to Pat Healy in his last fight, but, beating Justin Wilcox, Jason Terry, David Douglas. Basically the kind of um, B level of Strikeforce's lightweight division. In this fight with Sam Stout, I think that he has the better options. Sam Stout hasn't looked all that great, really all that recently. Losing to John McDessie, who I think presents some similar-ish problems to what Fedor can do. Coming inside, working the clinch. He's not as explosive, not as flashy as McDessie, but he definitely brings a very good clinch offense. He's quick, and that seems to be Stout's problem. Beat Spencer Fisher, lost to Thiago Tavares in bullshit fashion. But I'm going to go with Fedor by unanimous decision. I may end up regretting that because Sam Stout, this is very close. This could go either way. This is the first fight of the night where I'm actually interested to see the result. Dennis Bermudez, Matt Grice. Go with Dennis Bermudez. But if Matt Grice starts taking him down and getting on top, we've seen what happens when you do that to Bermudez. He loses. The problem is the same can be said for Grice. If he gets put on his back, he loses. Bermudez, I think, is the better stand-up guy. I think he's slightly bigger. I think he's slightly stronger. Grice is a bit chinny. And someone is. It makes me never really want to pick him. He's the higher accomplished wrestler, and by that I mean Grice, but it seems Bermudez transfers a little bit better into MMA with his wrestling. So, my prediction in a nutshell is whoever starts getting the takedowns wins this fight. And I'm going to go say that will be Dennis Bermudez. Michael Chiesa, Anton Koivunen. Chiesa. By either submission or just riding out a decision on top. Chiesa's wrestling is, it doesn't look all that great to be honest, but he gets the job done. He really does, and Koivunen has shown somewhat in the past that he has slight subception to wrestling, and sort of showed that in the Justin Salas fight, showed that in parts of the Mitch Clark fight as well, and here he's dealing with someone who's much better at using his wrestling in MMA. Salas is probably the better pure wrestler, but Chiesa is the better MMA wrestler. And that's another one that should be cut. I know he's won his last fight, but Brendan Schaub, LeVar Johnson, cannot pick Brendan Schaub against someone who has big power. LeVar Johnson has nothing if not big power. Knockout, LeVar Johnson. Moving on. Josh Koscheck, Robbie Lawler. I like Robbie Lawler, but in the end, not happening here. I just see Koscheck being able to take him down. Koscheck's, did get knocked out by Paulo Thiago, but has shown that he actually does have a pretty decent chin. So I don't really see Lawler being able to just, bam, put him down. We've seen him have problems with lesser wrestlers than Koscheck. We're talking the likes of Tim Kennedy. We're talking the likes of Lorenz Larkin actually had a couple things on that. Jake Shields, obviously, who is not as good of a wrestler as Koscheck again. And you'll say, well, he took out Matt Lindland, and who's a bigger and possibly better wrestler than Koscheck. Also has no chin. That's really all you need to know. I don't see Koscheck finishing him. Lawler's not as inept on the ground as people tend to think he is. And he is going to be hard to hold down, but I do see Koscheck grinding him down, getting the decision. Court McGee, Josh Neer, going with Court McGee via decision. Josh Neer is hard to finish, but just unimpressive, and you want a guy who should be cut. Dana! Josh Neer! Please. 2 losses in a row to pile on Justin Edwards. Justin Edwards should probably have been cut already. That's really all there is to it. You can tell I'm a little bitter on this. And this is a main card fight with a guy who shouldn't be employed based on what the UFC's been doing lately. Uriah Faber, Ivan Menjivar. This is a rematch of some time ago. In the end, Menjivar tends to start really well. Tends to fade. Faber's got the cardio to go the distance. Hard to finish. Good heart. Don't really like Faber as much as a lot of people do. But, you know, in the end, he'll get the takedowns. He'll outlast him cardio-wise. He'll not get finished by Menjivar in the first round. He'll win a decision. I don't see him submitting Menjivar. Menjivar is very hard to finish himself. Most of his finishes in his career are come when he was fighting at 155 and even 170. And, I mean, he's fighting at 135 now, so that gives you an idea of how far out of his weight class he's been fighting for parts of his career. But, Faber decision. The only fight on the main card, I'm particularly excited to see Lyoto Machida versus Dan Henderson. I got Machida by decision. I don't think he finishes Henderson, just because Henderson's got a block for his head. But at this point in his career, Henderson's too head-hunting happy and honestly too cardio deficient, I think, to pick up a win here against Machida. Machida is very elusive, very hard to hit with you know, the uppercut, H-bomb, boom, right hand. You know, I said a lot of these same things about Shogun, and he managed to get that done, but we'll see. I just don't see it. I see Machida being able to play his elusive game. I see Machida being able to be quicker. I see Machida being able to be more technical, more varied than Dan Henderson. And Dan Henderson at this point doesn't seem to really be interested in trying to wrestle you. So that's my thoughts. Plus, I always have a hard time picking someone coming off a knee or back injury, and we have an older fighter coming off of a knee injury. So that plays into this. Ronda Rousey, Liz Carmouche, one of the poorest promoted main events in UFC history, mostly because, to be honest, up until like this week, I think if you asked anyone who Ronda Rousey was fighting for the title, they would not be able to answer the question in terms of casual fans. Or if they did, they would have a name and no clue beyond that. And this is not trying to disrespect Liz Carmouche. Tough girl, incredibly strong fighter, top 10 in the division. But just not been marketed. I mean, you look at the countdown shows, even, and you know, you're setting up Ronda Rousey with this hyper technical diet, technical training, etc. You know, basically the truth that she's at a very good place, and Carmouche is training in a really trashy looking boxing gym. That's really all there is to it. You got the interesting lesbian side, but I don't care either way. In the end, Ronda Rousey will get this fight to the ground and will probably armbar her in the first round. And that's not the UFC's fault that they couldn't find necessarily someone to fight Rousey. I think this is the problem with the 135-pound female division right now, is that I'm thinking. And people will say Sarah McMahon's a possibility, but Sarah McMahon in the future, she has to develop stand-up. Because people are talking about, oh, Rousey can't take her down. But the fact of the matter is neither of these girls have stand-up at this point. So Sarah McMahon could develop, you know, good boxing and keep the reach and play the wrestling game of sprawl and brawl. Basically, female Chuck Liddell in a nutshell. She could definitely, you know, be a problem for Rousey. But right now, there's no one, unless you want to get Cyborg. And the whole Cyborg thing, stupid. From both angles. I mean, in Cyborg's case, I mean, you've done steroids for so long and you're refusing to cut to 135 because you bulked up. You go down. But at the same time, people want to see her come down. If she's depleted from, you know, losing all the muscle mass, she's not going to be a good fighter. And you'll end up with what we have with Rousey versus most 135ers. Takedown, armbar. So I don't really see the interest in her going down. I mean, if you want this clean and so on, and you want to punish steroid users, you just don't have her fight. Even if she wants to fight, you don't give it to her. That's it. Anyways, as to predictions, I probably will not watch the main card. I'm sorry. It's terrible. And it's not an I have a problem with female MMA, or I have a problem with female MMA being the main event. No. I have a problem with Rousey versus Carmouche being a lackluster main event, with fights leading up to it like Koscheck, Lawler, and McGee and Neer. That's my problem. Anyways,